Israeli troops have now surrounded Gaza City and are finding what all those reporters there somehow never managed to see or dared to report to you when talking about those terrible Israelis bombing civilian targets. For instance, in a Boy Scout centre, the Israelis have found a whole bank of rocket launchers. What kind of terrorists would do that? They found more rocket launchers at a mosque, and near an amusement park they found an entrance to the 500 kilometres of tunnels Hamas has dug under Gaza for its fighters, tunnels that the civilians cannot use as bomb shelters. Another tunnel entrance was found next to the Sheikh Hamad Hospital, and night vision shows terrorists shooting from the hospital windows. Another Gaza hospitals, of course, are Hamas headquarters. Meanwhile, Israel's defence forces say they have the Hamas leader in Gaza cornered in his tunnel. After returning from Israel, Ami Horowitz, filmmaker and commentator, joins me from New York. Ami Horowitz, thanks for your time. Compare and contrast what you saw in Israel to what the media back home now is saying about this war.
You know, it's incredible to me. I can't tell you how many times I've spoken to members of the media in Israel while I was there, from outlets all over the world. And they're just aghast that I could have the opinion that Israel is not trying to deliberately kill civilians. This is kind of the narrative they've been pushing, and it's just confounding to me on so many levels. First of all, if Israel wanted to kill civilians, Andrew, they'd all be dead, right? There wouldn't be 8,000 or 10,000 dead. There'd be 800,000 or 1 million dead. Israel has the capability to turn Gaza into glass tomorrow, if that was their goal. But if you've got to really look at the numbers. They're dropping thousands and thousands and thousands of bombs in the most densely populated place on planet Earth, where Hamas, the enemy, is using their own people as human shields. And the number of 8,000 people, 10,000 people, as tragic as that is, although only the civilians, obviously the ones that are militants, you know, I'm glad they're all dead. But so we have 4,000 or 5,000 civilians dead. Look, it's all awful, obviously, but one has to marvel how few civilians have been killed relative to the bombardment that they've had. You know, I spent time talking to members of the IDF military who walked me through what their rules of engagement are, how careful they are when it comes to harming civilians, knowing that even doing that will put their own soldiers at risk. I talked to drone operators who are dropping the bombs. I talked to the man who wrote the ethics of the IDF, the ethical guidebook of the IDF. It's incredible the amount of work and effort and risk they take on in order to limit civilian casualties. Yet, the world looks at this and says, Israel is trying to deliberately kill civilians. It is unbelievable. It is truly a blood libel.
I notice not one single estimate I have seen that tries from that death toll, and who knows what the true number is because the figures generally come from Hamas, how many of them are actually soldiers or fighters or terrorists. We don't hear that. Apparently you're supposed to believe they're all civilians, and as I heard one reporter say, oh, most of them are children. I don't believe that for a second, but there's no serious attempt to measure it. I mean, it's just incredible. There's one Palestinian American in Congress over there, Ami. She's Democrat Rashida Tlaib, who promoted a video with the slogan, "From the river to the sea," which means getting rid of Israel. I mean, Israel doesn't want to get rid of all Gaza, but the Hamas terrorist group sure wants to get rid of all Israel, and so do some supporters, apparently, like this Congresswoman. Republicans and some Democrats are moving to censure her, but she is not apologetic. Here they are.
If this is not worthy of censure, what is? When you can call for the annihilation of a country and its people, if that's not worthy of a censure, what is?
Trying to bully or censor me won't work, because this movement for a ceasefire is much bigger than one person.
So, Ami, apparently it's absolutely shocking to censure this woman, but she says it's not shocking to call for the elimination of Israel. Some strange values there. What's the story with this person?
look, I might have actually a slightly different view on this than you would expect I would have, or maybe people listening would expect I would have. Look, she's part of the Hamas caucus for sure. She's a Palestinian American. I don't expect her to be pro-Israel, right? I do expect her to believe the BS that she's being fed, both of the media and I'm sure people that she knows. So I'm not shocked by it. It doesn't. I mean, look, the problem is, and here's the larger issue, is that her side is not interested in peace. As she said with the genocidal quote from the river to the sea, they're not interested in a two-state solution. They're not interested in negotiation. One wonders, why would the Palestinians continue to reject over and over again different offers made to them where they would get essentially 100% of the Palestinian territories, right? With a little bit of here and there where there'd be a land swap with Israel itself to the settlements. Why would they continue to reject it? Well, I'll tell you why. Because anybody who spent any time in the Palestinian territories would see that everywhere you go, you see maps of Israel, except it's not Israel, it says Palestine. If you ask any one of these people, including the great honorable Rashida Tlaib, when you say you want a Palestinian state, where exactly do you want that? And she will tell you she doesn't want Ramallah and Jenin and Gaza City. What does she want? Tel Aviv and Haifa and Jerusalem. That's the reality.
Well, I'm afraid our Greens leader here also tweeted a map of Israel and the West Bank with no Israel on it. One colour, red, free Palestine. Hasn't apologised for that. Ami Horowitz, thank you so much indeed for your time.